All right. So I've been reading the personal memoirs of U.S. Grant, a major general in the Civil War. So it's actually pretty good. It's not boring like you think it would be boring, like a history textbook or something. It's not. It's not a history textbook. It's literally the personal memoirs of U.S. Grant. So it starts out about his genealogy, his ancestors, immigration. They moved to America when it was only colonies, and it was Connecticut. And so it just tells his family history, his life story. It starts out like the first 14 chapters are about the Mexican War, and honestly, he has some jokes in there. It's kind of funny, and it makes you wonder because there's a rumor that it was ghostwritten by Mark Twain. So it kind of makes you wonder because it is kind of funny, and Mark Twain was a humorist. But anyways, yeah. So when it gets to the the Civil War and stuff, if you're not like a big history buff, like you'll definitely need some background. You know, some maps, some of the political history, because U.S. Grant was not a politician. It doesn't really give the causes for the wars, for the Mexican War or the Civil War. It doesn't go into the politics of it. I just got to the part where he does have like a sit down meeting with President Lincoln, but Grant's not a politician. He's a military man. And yeah, it's really interesting because he was in the Mexican War. He went to West Point and he wanted to be a professor. He just wanted to be a professor. He's like, I'm going to graduate West Point, do a little bit of time in the army, and then I'm going to go back to West Point and be a professor and have a cushy little job. Well, that's not what happened. The Mexican War broke out, so he had to go. And then the Civil War broke out. So he was brought on as like an advisor in Illinois, and it just, or was it Missouri? But anyways, things just kind of escalated from there, and he was nominated to be a brigadier general. This was a promotion from his original position when he left the Mexican War. He was like a colonel or something. But yeah, it's really good, and I definitely recommend, like, if you got some time on your hands and you're interested, definitely it's definitely worth a read. The personal memoirs of U.S. Grant. I got it from like thriftbooks.com for like $4 or $5. It's crazy. And I got the American Heritage picture history of the Civil War. Got this from like a church sale. They were giving books away for like 3 for $1. So I got the whole set. I got the set of these, and these are really cool because this does give the political side and the social side of things, and also it has these really awesome illustrations and photographs that can just kind of immerse you into the history. And and then of course you'll need some maps. I mean, you can look all this up on Wikipedia or wherever you go, but maps. You want some maps because these things make a lot more sense if you have maps. And it does have maps in the book, and it does have letters in the book that were written. It's like it has maps in here. This is pretty much the territories of the war, map of the seat of war. And it has a really good index in here too. If you just want to like know about a certain battle, you can go to the index and find out about this battle. If you want all the references to a certain general, you can go there. A certain place, certain state, a certain city, you just go to the index and like flip straight to it. So yeah, like I said, this is a personal memoir of U.S. Grant himself. So if you want more, you'll want more information, because a lot of it is just gonna not Like for me, I'm like, well, I don't really know enough about all the background, the other generals, the other battles, the political atmosphere, to really place all of these things in my mind. But I can understand him from his personal view. This is what's happening now. So it's very readable. It's not a history textbook. It's an account from one man. So that makes it a lot more interesting, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break from it because it's very thick. You know, it's like 700 pages in here, and I'm about halfway through it. I'm over halfway through it, but I just need to take a break from it. So, like I said, we're at the point where he just had his first sit down with Lincoln, and they're going into what, 1862, spring of 1862. So yeah, take a break, maybe some more light reading, but and come back to it because it is really interesting. It is really interesting, and but it's pretty thick. But like I said, it is pretty funny too. You know, it gives his personal accounts of all the battles he was in, and also the interference from the politics. You know, that's another really interesting part to me, is because America didn't have a really big military at the time. They had just got finished fighting the Mexican War, but that wasn't a big, hard war. You know, they kind of just like beat their way down to Mexico City and say, hey, we're gonna buy this territory from you. And Mexico's like, well, okay, what else can we do? At the beginning of the Mexican War, they offered them money for these territories, Texas to California, and they didn't want it. They wouldn't take it. So they instigated this war. And Grant says in the early part of the book, he's like the Mexican War is not something that he agreed with. It was an obvious incidence of bullying of a more powerful nation to a weaker one, for the sole purpose of conquering more territory. Americans were, you know, they had the land fever at that time. They wanted the most land, as much land as possible. And so that's what it was. Texas was trying to be independent from Mexico. And Mexico had just finished fighting their war of independence from Spain like 20 years before that or something. So, you know, it really wasn't, it was nothing like the Civil War. That's what I'm saying. The Mexican War was nothing like the Civil War. But the point of that was, I forgot what the point I was driving at. But, yeah, I'm going to come back to this because it's just too thick to sit down and read for like a long period of time. There's a lot of other things I'm interested in, and just like daily life that I don't want to spend too much time. Also, like I was saying, I need more background. Maybe read Sherman's autobiography. Maybe just get some background, or watch some documentaries of. It's a big topic, so looking at it from Grant's perspective, without living in Grant's world, it's kind of hard to process it all. And that's why I have these other books, but it's still it's a really big topic. So, but anyways, I'll come back. I'll see y'all later. But yeah, I do recommend it if you got the time and you have the interest. The Personal Memoirs of U.S. Grant. Great book.